Hi, good to see you again. Welcome to Block 5, Addition and Subtraction of Fractions. Lesson 9. I'll share my screen. So, in your previous lesson, you learned how to add and subtract fractions that have any denominators, regardless of how different the denominators were. You learned the technique of making sure that you could find the lowest common multiple of the numbers in the denominator, and then you created equivalent fractions of the individual fractions you were working with such that you would have equivalent denominators. Then you could add the fractions or subtract the fractions depending on the case you were working with. In today's lesson, you're going to learn how to add and subtract improper fractions and mixed numbers. It's a very interesting lesson. It's one of the topics that students find challenging, so pay close attention because it is actually easier than you think. Remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video with those you think can benefit, and click on the notification bell so that when new videos are released, you will be notified. By doing this, you help us grow our mission to provide a platform where any child around the world can have high quality maths education regardless of their economic circumstance. All they need is internet access. So the next stage is for someone to provide some charitable giving to help a child who wants to have high quality maths education with internet access. Thank you. Before we start, I would like you to answer the retrieval practice questions in 3 minutes. Assuming you've answered the questions, here are the answers. For the first one, we're asked to write the fraction that is shaded in the diagram. So we can see two whole are shaded, the whole shapes are shaded. And then here we have 5 parts out of 8 parts shaded. So this is 2 whole 5/8. And of course, you know what we have discussed about how to convert this to a top-heavy or an improper fraction. So we simply do 8 times 2, which is 16. 16 add 5, 21, which is 21/8. Here you were asked to work out 12/13 plus 8/13. Notice that we have a common denominator. So we can simply just add the numerators and the denominator stays the same. So it is 20/13. And of course, you should remember how we change a top-heavy fraction like this into a mixed number. So 20 divided by 13, you can only get one group of 13 from 20, and your remainder will be 7. So 20 divided by 13 is 1 remainder 7. So we write it as 1 whole 7/13. Here you ask, what is the perimeter of the rectangle? Well, you may notice that the other parts of the rectangle are not given, the dimensions are not given, but these signs, this symbol here, these signs tell us that this side, opposite this side is equal, and this side is equal to that side. So we can simply just add all sides, which is 22 centimeter. Let's do our new learning for today. Remember, we're learning how to add improper fractions and mixed numbers. So the first part of the lesson, we're going to try to use bar models to understand how the addition of fractions actually work. And then after that, we don't really need it. In fact, we're going to move on to doing it in an abstract way using our understanding of fractions. So if you want to use this bar model to work out this calculation, how would you do it? Now, if you take a look, you would see that we have 2 wholes. So we're adding, this is 2.5, and this is 1/5. Okay, so we can add all the wholes, which will be all the whole bars, which will be 3. Now you may be wondering, why have we split these into 10 equal parts? Well, remember, what we learned in our previous lesson, when you have different denominators, you can have the lowest common multiple. The lowest common multiple of 2 and 5 is 10. So in this case, we are splitting them into 10 equal parts so that when we add them, it makes sense. So half plus 1/5 is represented by adding these that have been split into 10 equal parts. Now, when you add them, you will notice that you have 7/10. So your answer to this question is 3 whole 7/10. What about this one? There is a different way to answer this question, and I'm going to be showing you the different methods at certain occasions. I would, show you the different method, the method number 2 of doing this. But here is how you would do it. So it's by converting the mixed number into a top-heavy or improper fraction. After doing that, your next step would simply be to have common denominators. So if we do that, it is equivalent to, or it is the same as splitting the shapes into all 10 equal parts. And then we'll know exactly what parts we're working with. So in this case, we'll have 25/10 add 12/10. That will give us 37/10. And that should be, when converted into a mixed number, 3 whole 7/10. So I will show this method again in the next half of the lesson. What about if we want to do subtraction? Now, there are different ways of thinking about this. Now, if you think about it, when we do our subtraction, 2 minus 1 is a whole. Okay? So 2 minus 1 is a whole. Now, something interesting you need to note is that, that's my pen, that's fine. Something interesting you need to know is that, yes, 2 minus 1 is a whole, all right? So we have 2 lots, we take away 1, all right? Okay, we have 1 left. So it's like saying that will cancel that out, but we have 1 left. Now, we want to subtract. If you think about it, we have split this into 10 equal parts. We want to subtract. If you think about it, we're trying to subtract 5, okay, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're trying to subtract 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're trying to subtract 8 from 5. If you think about it, that is not enough. So we have to split these into 10 equal parts. I don't know whether that's exactly 10, but I'm sure you understand the concept. Now, altogether, we have 15. So now we have enough. So that whole, we have made that whole into 10 equal parts so that we have enough to subtract the 8 from. So it's like saying 15 minus 8, which is 7/10. So we now have, if we have enough to take that off, that cancels that off, but we'll be left with 2 more here, which we can add to this 5, which will be 7/10. Now, remember I said occasionally I would show you the other method that I showed you of doing this. So we could have simply converted this to a mixed number, a top-heavy fraction. So 2 times 2 will be 4. 4 add 1 will be 5. So that's 5/2 minus 5 times 1 will be 5 plus 4, that will be 9. So that will be 9/5. Okay. Now, if we want to convert this to have a common denominator, we're going to have to multiply this by 5, and we're going to have to multiply this by 2. Now you can see that this will be 25/10 minus 18/10. And you can see that using this method did not require us to have to do what we did before. So that will be 7/10. Here is uh, something else. So Dora and Alex are working out 3 3/8 plus 2 1/6. Here is Dora's method. So Dora first added the whole numbers and then added the fractions. Of course, to be able to add these different denominators, so 8 and 6, Dora is going to have to find their common denominators after she had done her calculation. And then in the end, her answer will be 5/13/14. Now, here is Alex's method. So Alex first added 3/8 to 2, and then obviously, which will give Alex 5/3/8, and then later on added 1/6. Of course, remember, Alex is going to have to find the common denominator still and would get the same answer. My question to you is, which method do you prefer? Now, I would tell you this. For me, I would prefer, in this context, I would prefer Dora's method. However, I favor the method where I would convert if I'm not dealing with very big numbers involved in the fraction, involved in the mixed numbers. I would usually convert them to top-heavy fractions and work with them the way we did it here. But the choice is yours, so I prefer that one. But the choice is yours, the method you prefer, and the one that works best for you. It's now time for you to pause video and do some practice. So pause video and answer question 1 in 2 minutes. Assuming you've paused the video and you've answered question 1, here are the answers. Let's discuss them. So here, you can see that we're going to have 3/5/6. Why? If we simply add the numbers, the whole numbers, we have 3. Now, this, we have to change the denominators to have a common denominator. So we're going to multiply that by 3, and we're going to multiply that by 2. So now we have 3/6 plus 2/6. Of course, we'll have a common denominator, so we can simply add the numerators, so your answer will be 5/6. This one is the same thing, but not quite. So watch what happens. Now, I am doing this without using the bar model, because remember what I told you, the bar model is just to help us understand this. After using the bar model, we don't really need to use it that much. So 2 add 1 is 3. So we have 3 whole lots. But when we add a half plus 2/3, this, we can multiply this by 3, and we can multiply this by 2. Now we have 3/6 add 4/6. Now this becomes 7/6. Now, have you noticed that 7/6 is the same thing as 1/6 when we convert it to a mixed number? Now remember, we're adding 3 whole. So when you add 3 whole to this 1 whole, you will have 4 whole and then 1/6. And then this one is really straightforward. We do 2 minus 1. Now, remember, when I'm dealing with a problem like this, I would usually like to convert it to a top-heavy fraction, and then it's quicker for me to do it that way. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 add 1 is 5. So it's like saying 5/2 minus 3 times 1 is 3. Add 2 is 5. So that's another 5/3. All right. Now, if we have to change them to common denominator, we'll multiply that by 3. We'll multiply that by 2. Now we have 15/6 minus 10/6. And you can see why it is 5/6. Pause the video and answer question 2 in 3 minutes. Assuming you've paused the video and you've answered question 2, here are the answers. Let's discuss them. So here you were asked to work out 2/5 plus 1.5 by converting each number to an improper fraction. Now, by now, you should know how to do that. I'll just do the conversion and I'll let you finish the calculation and check that the answer has to be 39 over 10. Maybe you went further to change your answer to a mixed number. So this one will be 5 times 2, which is 10, add 2, which is 12. So that's 12 over 5, add, this will be 2 times 1, which is 2, add 1 is 3 plus 3 over 2. Now, to have a common denominator, you have to multiply that by 2, and you have to multiply that by 5. So now you have 24 over 10, add 15 over 10. And you can see why your answer will be 39 over 10. And then next, you were asked to work this out by first adding the wholes and then adding the fractions. Of course, if you do that, that will be 3 whole, and you simply had to do 2/5 plus a half, which will be 3 whole 9 over 10. Well, like I said, I prefer this method. But it's up to you. Choose the one that works for you. Pause the video and answer question 3 in 2 minutes. Assuming you've paused the video and you've answered question 3, here are the answers. Let's discuss them. So question 3, you were asked, Amir and Eva are using a number line to work out 3 2/3 plus 2 1/6. And here is their method. And then here is Eva's method. So you were asked to fill in the missing numbers. So this was similar to what we looked at in our previous questions. So which method do you find easier? Well, if I were to choose, I would choose Amir's method. Okay. So first you add the whole numbers and then you add the fractions. Pause the video and answer question 4 in 5 minutes. Assuming you've paused the video and you've answered the questions, here are the answers. So some facts have already been given to you. A half plus a quarter is 3/4. You were simply asked to use that fact to answer this question. So you can see the answers. You have the whole and you have the 3/4. You have 2, you have 3/4. You have 7, you add the whole number, and you have 3/4. Here, you can simply add the whole numbers, which would be 28, and you have 3/4. That would be 5, and then plus the 2, which is 7, and then 3/4. Here, the whole 7 add 3 is 10, plus 3/4. Okay. So we have been using models to answer questions. In this, second part of the lesson, for the first example, we won't be using models. The whole aim is for us to get used to being able to do fractions without necessarily using the models. So we can do it, using abstract method. So we have 2 1/4 plus 1 1/7. How would you approach this problem? Well, by now you have different methods of doing this. So one method would be you add the whole numbers and then you add 1/4 to 1/7, which will give you 7/8. How did we get that result? It's by having a common denominator of 28. Why do we use the common denominator of 28? It's because 28 is the lowest common multiple of 4 and 7. So to be able to convert this denominator to 28, we multiply this denominator by 7, and we also multiply the numerator by 7. Remember, whatever you do to the denominator, you have to do the same to the numerator. To convert 1/7 such that we have an equivalent fraction of 1/7 that has its denominator to be 28, we have to multiply 7 by 4. And then we also need to multiply 1 by 4. Why? Whatever we do to the denominator, we have to do the same to the numerator in order to create an equivalent fraction. Now we can simply add the numerators and our answer will be 3 whole 11 over 28. You could have used the method that we used before, which is to convert this to top-heavy fraction or improper fraction, and then you do the calculation as you would normally do, having a common denominator. So this one will be 4 times 2 will be 8. 8 add 1 will be 9. So 9 over 4 add 7 times 1 will be 7 plus 1, 8. So 8 over 7. And then next, you can convert it to equivalent fractions with the denominator being 28 by multiplying that by 7 and by multiplying that by 4. Okay, I'll leave you to finish that off. All right. Next, to do this one, we could use the same method. So I want you to have a think. Which method would you use? You now have two methods that you can use, working with the whole numbers, and then in this one, you're going to have to borrow. Okay, so let's check it out. So here, 2 minus 1 is 1. We have a whole, but now we have to subtract 5 over 6 from 3/8. Now, if we use the common denominator of 24, we'll have 9 over 24 because we have to multiply 8 by 3 and 3 by 3. That creates an equivalent fraction that has the denominator 24, which is the lowest common multiple of 8 and 6. Next, we'll do the same for 5 over 6. The equivalent fraction, which has the denominator 24, is 20 over 24. So we'll multiply that part by 4. When we do this, you notice that you have negative 11 over 24. Now, you still had a whole when you did your subtraction. Now, if you remember, the whole will take the context of whatever you're trying to do with it. In this case, we're trying to subtract 11 over 24 from it. So this case, that whole is 24 over 24. So if you subtract 11 from 24, you'll have 13. So your answer should be 13 over 24. But you could have done this differently. Remember the other method? So 8 times 2 is 16. 16 add 3 is 19. So you have 19 over 8 minus 6 times 1 is 6. Add 5 is 11 minus 11 over 6. And then we can change this to the common denominator of 24 by multiplying that by 3, that by 3, multiplying that by 4, and that by 4. If you use this method, you will get the same result. It's now time for you to pause the video and do some practice. So pause the video and answer questions 5 and 6 in 4 minutes. Assuming you've paused the video and you've answered questions 5 and 6, here are the answers. So for question 5, you were asked to work out the calculations, and then you can see here, you can simply just add the whole numbers, and then you add 3/5 to a quarter. Okay? Here, and you can see the calculations, how it's been done. All right? Here, you can simply just, you know you have a whole, but when you finish adding 1/5 to 7/8, you're going to have 43 over 40. So which, when you convert it, will be a whole and 3/40. Now remember, you had a two whole that you need to add to this one. So that will be 1 3/40. And these are the other answers. So mark your work and celebrate your success. For question 6, you were asked, Esther needs to cycle 18 kilometers in 3 days. The table shows how far she cycles on Monday and Tuesday. You can see it there. How far does she need to cycle on Wednesday to meet her target? So this is a typical question where you need to do some reasoning. So we need to add the total for Monday and Tuesday, which gives us this fraction. To have what she has left, we need to subtract it from 18. Okay, so, and that's what we get there. So we need to subtract this from 18. Okay. All right. Pause the video and answer questions 7, 8, and 9 in 5 minutes. Assuming you've paused the video and you've answered questions 7, 8, and 9, here are the answers. So here you were asked to work out the calculations. So you can simply write the whole on the side because you're adding, and then add 11 over 3 plus 3 over 4. I don't want the video to be too long, so I'm not going to explain this any further. By now, you know how to add mixed numbers and improper fractions. And so these are the answers for the other ones. Here you are asked, in the fraction pyramid, the number in each box is the sum of the two numbers below. So if you know these two, you know the sum of these two should give you that. To find this one, you can simply take this from that one. And then once you get this one, you can get that one because you know that these two will give you that one. And once you get that one, you add these two to get that. And you can see the calculations here. And then next you are asked, is the number in the top box greater than 5.25? Of course, no. How do we know? We know by now that 0.25 is a quarter. So it's a bit like asking you whether this number is greater than 5 1/4. Of course not. Here is the answer to question 9. You were asked, the diagram shows a cake box. A 25-inch ribbon is used to wrap around the base of the cake box. How much of the ribbon will be left over? Okay, so this question is asking you, it's a bit like asking you to find the perimeter of the bottom of the box. So you can see that's why we've added 4 1/3 plus 7 1/4 plus 4 1/3 plus 4 1/3, because you know that plus 4 1/3 and then 7 1/4, because the perimeter is the distance around the box. Now, when we finish that, we need to subtract that from 25, and that should be our answer. Okay? And that brings us to the end of our lesson. Really well done for sticking around to learn a challenging topic, which is to add and subtract mixed numbers and improper fractions. Until next time, take really good care of yourself, and bye-bye.